Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amy Truesdell. I'm going to be the moderator for today's call. We're just going to wait a few more moments here so that way we can let everyone flood into our webinar room. Okay. All right, while we're waiting for everyone to filter in, let's go ahead and do some housekeeping. So for all of you who are on the call today, I just want to make sure that the volume sounds all right. You're able to hear me. If so, let's go ahead and have you type in the chat bar of the GoToWebinar that the volume is all right, not all right. And we want to make sure that you're able to also see my screen. My screen should be displaying my name, Amy Truesdell. Again, I'll be the moderator for today's call. Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for that feedback. Okay, so we've got some really great stuff that we're going to be covering today. Myself, again, I will co-host this call with Michael Kowalski, the president and founder of Automated Marketing Solutions, and he'll be coming on our call in just a short bit here. All right. Okay, so let's start filtering through the agenda for today's call. I know some of you have already received your email notifications that had the content that we were going to deliver, but that's just a small portion of what we're able to actually let you in on, because there's just so many good things that we're not able to fit all in those emails. So we're going to be covering who we are, and a lot of you know who we are, but there are some people on our call today who may not be familiar with Automated Marketing Solutions. We're going to discuss what exactly is a webinar. Okay, so some of you are quite familiar with those as well. Others, this might be your first opportunity to participate on one. Okay, we're going to talk about who should be using webinars and why. We'll cover the top 4 reasons that you should be using webinars in your business if you aren't already. We're going to go through an important case study. So this is going to be great for everybody on the call today to be a part of our live case study. We're going to have a question and answer period after, so that way we can go ahead and make sure that everything that comes up to you throughout the call can be answered. Now, as a reminder, anything that comes up that you have to ask, please go ahead and put that into your questions panel for the GoToMeeting, and we'll be going through that periodically throughout the call, but mostly we're going to answer that just during our live period at the end. Okay, and then the final thing that we'll be discussing is just what to expect next from Automated Marketing Solutions. So why don't we go ahead, I'm going to invite Mike on the call with us now, and we'll be able to move forward. So Mike, are you with us today?
I am, Amy. How are you doing today?
Great, thanks. Glad to hear your voice. Happy to have you on the call.
Glad to be on the call. Really looking forward to this topic. Actually, it's pretty interesting. We've been using this tool, this webinar tool, for over 20 years for our own training and coaching and lead generation. And it's funny. It's actually the first time we've hosted a webinar on the benefits of a webinar. If you get
I can't believe we haven't done one up until this date. I mean, this is something that we do on a regular basis. So it's going to benefit everyone, I think, who's participating on this call today.
Well, you're right. I mean, many of the clients that come on to our webinars, either for training, coaching, when we host an expert, we just brought up a good idea a few weeks ago. Say, why don't we give them an opportunity to use this tool themselves? Because basically, they think that the webinar tool is really used for experts or vendors. And, a lot of the people on this call come on, they get trained, they buy stuff, and, I'm sure they could use this valuable tool to attract and train or coach their own clients.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, why don't we just let everybody know who is on the call that may not know what a webinar actually is?
Okay, well, for us, a little bit about AMS, Automated Marketing Solutions, for the people that don't know us. We've been providing lead generation in client retention systems for over 20 years now. We use direct response marketing principles and proven content in industries like real estate, financial planning, dental, mortgage, to name a few. We've worked with some of the largest marketing gurus in North America, hosting these webinars and providing training and coaching to their members. So, you know, it's been a while. We've been doing this for a long time, Amy, and some of the topics or ideas we use for webinars is like product training. We ask the experts, we interview experts, we do hot seat calls, all kinds of interesting topics that really work. But what is a webinar? Well, you can see it on your screen. It really is an online seminar where it's a meeting, workshop, or conference that allows you to communicate, present, collaborate through a virtual platform. That's the description of it.
Yeah, exactly. And this is one example that we're using GoToWebinar, but there are plenty of other providers out there that people may be familiar with in participating in some of the webinars from their own industry experts.
Perfect. Okay. So who are webinars for? And I talked a little bit about that at the beginning, that really they're for everyone. You know, small business owners, entrepreneurs, service providers, vendors, anyone that can benefit from, you know, increased productivity, improved work efficiency, you know, delivering their benefits, their content, their product or service to their base of people. You can see below some of the industries that we work with: the financial planners, real estate agents, medical, dental, online marketers, educators, many, many more. We deal a lot with real estate and real estate agents. I don't know why more real estate agents don't actually do webinars or host their own webinars on certain topics for buyers and sellers. I'm sure all you need is a topic or a niche that you know, and get the people that you need to on the call. So those are all the industries that we actually host for, and all the different people that actually webinars can be useful for.
So that being said, with it having such a broad spectrum of who can actually use it, why would people not be using webinars?
Well, the number one reason, I think, is fear. I mean, there's a lot of people out there, they're fear of the technology. They're not really tech savvy, but they're good with communicating with people, getting on and delivering their value and benefits. But there's some people that are actually overwhelmed by speaking, and some people are a little timid or you know, don't like to talk to in front of a lot of people. But this is a good way to start, you know, to get on the phone and get your herd or members on a call. And you know, I think it's actually a good, you know, it's a good way to start. You know, if you have an opportunity to speak in a conference or an event where you're allowed to go on a stage, this is a good place to start, because it really gives you some confidence. But I think fear is one of the reasons.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
The second is a lack of knowledge. Again, not really knowing what the software does or how to put it together, and you know, and even some of the benefits that can help you grow your business. I mean, there's you know, some of these webinar companies make it easy for you to get trained and understand how to get it started and working, and that's, I would say, that's half of the battle. They make it easy and cost effective as well, which will be which is the next reason. They think all these gurus and these experts that host these webinars spend thousands and thousands of dollars to get this thing going. Now, it really is cost effective. In fact, a lot of the webinar companies offer free trials, and after that, a really small monthly fee to use it. I mean, the biggest value is really learning how to work a webinar, how to put it together, how to attract your clients, how to get them to the event, how to get them to show up to the event, stay on the event, and convert or train, depending on the use of the webinar.
Yeah, and I think that that brings us into the top 4 reasons why you should be using the webinars in your everyday business. I mean, again, it's not for just large companies. It's not for a particular niche. When it comes to promoting yourself or your business, your product, your brand, you can certainly use it, in your own field.
Absolutely. I mean, the number one reason, this is a huge for me. I mean, there's a number of reasons. But the number one reason, we'll go through 4 of them. Number one is leverage. I love the ability for one-to-many, be able to, from your computer, be able to communicate, educate, train, coach your clients, your prospects from one-to-many. So you're really leveraging your time, and it allows you to reach like unlimited number of clients, patients, customers, prospects on a consistent basis, whether it's a daily or weekly or monthly basis. We do webinars every month, every week. We use it for different purposes. So, leverage is everything. Leveraging marketing, leveraging a marketing tool like a webinar is huge.
Yeah. And I think that you hit the nail on the head there when you're saying with the one-to-many. A lot of times people would be booking business meetings that would involve travel, costly expenses that this type of a program would help eliminate.
And actually, too, that's a real good point. And once you may not be able to get it right the first time, but once you do get it, you can always leverage that webinar for an evergreen webinar, so you can use it over and over and over again, play it as a live event to your new prospects or your clients down the road. So again, it's always working for you, and to me, it's a big leverage point.
Yeah, I agree. All right, and our next reason is going to be trust.
Yeah, this is huge too. I mean, it really positions you as a trusted authority in your marketplace. It does build a lot of credibility. The fact that you're offering education, training, coaching to your members on a weekly or monthly basis, and it really is a good tool to help allow you to connect and engage. And in fact, a lot of our webinars and training and education, a lot of our clients stay on our paying monthly membership just for that purpose, to come on, to listen to experts, listen to some training every month. And it really is a good retention tool outside other products and services that you may be offering.
Yeah, and I think, oftentimes, when it comes to trusting people, it's building your own brand, right? So, people may be familiar with your face, but they don't know, they want to put a voice to it. And this allows you just to kind of elaborate on, what they're seeing in a visual marketing standpoint as well.
Yeah, it's very similar to, being an author of a book. Again, that to be able to position yourself and hosting these events on a monthly or weekly basis really helps you out. And you can also get other partners and joint venture people to come on and help you pay the costs, if there is any cost, on these webinars as well, and add a lot of value to your members. So I'm sure people in different industries on this call are probably, the light bulbs coming on and say, oh yeah, I can get other people within my industry, whatever industry you're in, to get these experts on and offering their information, and also both of these could promote the webinar as well. So yeah, a lot of reasons for trust.
Yeah, I agree. And like you were just mentioning with the co-hosting, similar to what we're doing, I mean, There's 2 different individuals on the call, one being an expert in one particular field, and then your co-host could be, your go-to person for another industry related product or service.
Absolutely.
Okay. Our third point that we want to get into is going to be your database.
Well, I said the first one was huge, but this is equally as huge. I mean, you work hard, you spend thousands and thousands of dollars to build your database over time, and that is probably your most valuable asset, in my opinion. A lot of people think their database is dead, or they're not good anymore, or it's a waste of time. But in my opinion, if this tool is a good way to kind of wake up your database and deliver relevant content to them. That's working. That's proven. Segment your database. For example, in this call, we didn't invite everyone on this call. We invited a certain part of our database that we thought would benefit from this call. So we segment the database and only drive that message to those prospects or these people that we think would get a value of this tool. And the database is everything. I mean, I'm sure you can think of a topic, an idea that you could speak about on a webinar every month. So yeah, database is, and that's where, a lot of, especially in real estate, they spend money and money and money on online advertising, generate more leads. Most of the people don't even want to talk to you. They hide behind their phone, their email, their text, and follow-up is important, and you need to follow up more than once, but a lot more than once. But look in your database and use this tool to kind of wake up your database and deliver relevant content to them. It's in my opinion, that's where the value is. That's where the asset is. And at some point when you're ready to sell your business, it's all about your database and your.
Well, getting participants to come onto your webinar that are already a part of your database is going to be a lot easier than having to, source new leads. These people know who you are, again, with that trust that you've already built with your branding, personal branding. Then you're able to have people, already know who you are. They're going to express that interest in that particular topic that perhaps brought them in the first place, but you hadn't promoted for a while.
Absolutely, and not only that, when you get them on the call, Amy, I mean, it's a real good tool to really find out what they want, what their wants, needs, and desires are. Ask questions, poll questions, which we'll be doing in a minute. It's a real good tool. It's all about the quality of the people that show up, or not the quantity. It's the people that actually showed up on the webinar, registered and showed up. Those are the low-hanging fruit in your business.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, this is going to bring us into the fourth reason, or top reason anyway, why you should be looking at adding into webinars into your business. It works.
Well, it simply works. we've been, like I said, we've been hosting these webinars for over 20 years and built up a base in different industries, right? And the only thing that really changes is the content, right? And you're going to show them later in the call exactly our formula to set these webinars up, how to attract the right people to them, how to get them to register. There's a whole art how to get them to even show up. That's another, whole other strategy that it takes to get people to show up at a webinar and then convert, or at least, come on to some training. And then there's the old, the post part of it as well. What you do after your webinar and how you reach out to get them to listen to the webinar and leverage that webinar down the road. But yeah, it simply works. I mean, it's proven. The numbers, the conversions change depending on the topic and how the number of touches and how you, both on and offline, attract your prospects to the call as well.
And I think one of the prime examples is the fact that, the attendees who are with us today, I mean, we have this formula that we put in place that we're going to be showing you how to do in a little bit. And that particular formula is what we're going to help you implement into your own business. So you're living proof it works.
Sure, it sure does, and I think the most valuable part. I mean, the webinar is the tool. It's the actual tool to get people on, communicate, and deliver your content. What we're going to show you right now, what Amy's going to go through with you, are the actual blueprint, proven blueprint we've used, and we've always tweaked and got it better. Over 20 years, Amy's been working with us for over, is it 17, 18 years now, Amy?
Since 2001, yeah. It's been a while.
Amy's been involved in putting the whole, from start to finish, the content, the strategies, everything together. And we get into when we get into what Amy's going to show you, we can kind of break down. I mean, we can do a summary of everything we do. It's a whole other call of how we do it. But well, why don't we do that next, Amy? Why don't we go through or you're going to go through the features and benefits. I'm sorry. Why don't you just go through some of the other...
Yeah, no, just before we hop on and move on, you did go through the top 4 reasons, which were great, and some of those are going to be illustrated in this particular slide as well. But, you know, some of the things that we didn't bring up, which, you know, other people could benefit in their business, as opposed to just what we're working from today. We're talking about screen sharing, which is what we're doing now, video conferencing. That was one of the things that we talked about before, you know, instead of having to travel from, you know, city to city, state to state, wherever you have to go, you know, you can just all be a part of a video conference. You can poll your group. You can do surveys, chats, questions, answers. And I think one of the things that we had talked about too, again, was the interactive part. You know, keeping people engaged, making sure that they're providing feedback, participating in the call, makes it a lot more, I don't want to say entertaining, that's not really the right word, but with it being interactive, you're bound to have the interest of your audience maintained versus, you know, just kind of going through point by point and having them, you know, just look versus them engaging. Different programs, you know, you can get customized registration forms, email invitations, you can do recordings of calls, and you can rebroadcast them later. All of these things we're going to talk about, you know, why you would want to do that in our next formula step here that we're going to go through. So the first part of it, I think that we're just going to talk about our case study and how we actually got you on our call.
So the secret sauce.
So the secret sauce. So this is just going to be the template or the formula that we use for every webinar, and a general overview just to kind of map out that there is a method to the madness. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do in your business is select a topic that you think that your following, your herd, may be interested in. Okay, once you've got that topic selected, you want to make sure that you're going to prepare your content to deliver to them. So although you're going to do 2, maybe 3 emails, you definitely have some formulas in that aspect or element of the overview campaign itself. So you're going to do 2 to 3 emails. You're going to create a voice blast script. Some of you on our call today may have already got a voice broadcast from Mike reminding you of the call today. And then social posting. So perhaps you joined us today on our webinar through our social media outlets, whether it be Facebook, blog posts. You know, those are all elements that you want to pre-create on your selected topic. Your registration page would be the next step. So once you've got your content created, you need to populate up a registration page that's going to be consistent with the topic and the message that you're sending to your base. Okay, you give full details on the webinar itself. So your content creation emails may only have 2 or 3 points on the webinar itself, but the registration page will go into further detail. Okay, and then that's also going to have the sign-up form, so your lead capture element to get people onto the call. Okay, and then before anyone has a chance to forget, you've got reminder content that's going out. You're going to have emails being launched to remind people of your webinar, plus that voice broadcast. Okay, and then your follow-up content, that's going to be post-webinar. So you're going to make sure that you send a reminder to view your your recorded message or your call, and then you can post social media messages to get people to participate on your encore presentation or your replay. Okay, so that's a general overview of the actual process in which we use. Mike, do you want to add anything to that, or we're okay with this one?
No, I think once you get more to the details, I'll add in. That's a good summary.
Yeah, the meaty stuff comes next, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we've got a campaign overview. So the general overview just kind of lets you know, okay, these are the things that you have to do, and then we have a campaign element and we've got a webinar element. So we're going to start here with a campaign overview. So all the content that you've just put together in your first phase, you're now going to want to build out as a campaign. Now you can do one-off emails if you don't have an automated program, like I would say an Infusionsoft type, that's the one that we use. If you don't have a CRM that is allowing you to automatically put a delay sequence between all of these things, again, one-off emails work just as well. Okay, so your emails, your social posts, and your voice broadcasts, you all want to get laid out into a sequenced stage. Okay, you're going to schedule and test all of that once you've got it implemented. So you want to delay that content, not have it all go out at one time. You want to have it possibly 2 days in between, 3 days. The overall campaign itself should run approximately 7 days. 7 days is enough time to make sure that your participants are going to have the opportunity to schedule you into their calendar and to make sure that they're not forgetting when your actual presentation is going to be.
Amy, quick question, and I was just going to ask you what you recommend the campaigns start or commence before the actual event. And 7 to 10 days is a good time frame to allow you to get the message out to your prospects as well. What about the delivery of messages or emails, for example? What did you feel, based on our stats, the best time to deliver an email, like when it's actually opened or read?
Yeah,
is it a certain day of the week or time of the day?
Definitely certain times of the day. It really does depend on who you're targeting as your market, but I do find mornings you're going to have a higher open rate. And if you send it, usually I would say anywhere between 7 to 9, you would get your first set of open rates, and then anything after 11:15 a.m. Yeah. So when people are first getting into the office, or if you're just waking up and you're going through your inbox for the day, you don't necessarily want to have all of that content that's come in overnight to contend with when you're trying to market your webinar. You definitely want to have it to be something that's going to stand out. So usually, again, if you're doing like an 11:15 a.m., everybody's gone through all of that morning and late evening clutter, and now they've got their email sitting in their inbox waiting for them.
I think we found Tuesday and Wednesday was the best day to deliver it during the week. Is that true?
I would do anyway. Tuesday through Thursday is definitely the best time. And then your reminder emails, depending on when you're actually doing your webinar. If you're doing a webinar Monday, you gotta shoot one out the day before. So if it falls on a Sunday, it falls on a Sunday. But those ones, I would still say deliver AM.
And I find that the voice broadcast, and we use voice broadcast, and it's a service we provide as well. Sending a voice broadcast a couple of hours before the event, reminding people that have registered of the call is a real good retention, getting more people on the call. We use it for other purposes, but for webinar purposes, getting people to the event. Voice broadcast, we found that more people show up when you actually send a voice broadcast a few hours before the event.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the other elements a voice broadcast would be good for is after you launch that first email, I would say send a voice broadcast as well, just telling people to look in their inbox because you've sent them something, that you feel is important to them. Yeah. So, if you have the ability to do that, I would send the same email and the same voice broadcast message together.
Yeah, and if you guys have permission, I would also send a text as well. Send a text message or broadcast to people that you know, reminding them of the call. Again, it's just another medium or delivery of information to I believe. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mike. I was just going to say, I believe depending on who you use as your webinar provider, you may have that as an option as well. So you can set up an auto text or an auto email reminder so that way, just an hour before the call, you can have that message sent out to whoever is registered. So you're not spamming anyone. It's not going to, everybody under the sun. It's going to strictly those who raised their hand and expressed interest saying, yes, they want to be on that webinar. And again, it's just a reminder for them at that time.
I want to talk quickly. I know you're going to show a screenshot of an email that we use, but an email is very, very important. I'm not just creating any email of content, but there's actually a science which we've worked on for many, many, many years, on getting the emails to work for you, getting them, first of all, open. That's the biggest challenge, is getting them open. And to get them open, there's the subject line, right? The subject line being the headline. You need a great subject line to get those emails open, whether it's a question or curiosity or ... what's next. Just getting people, what's next, to open that email. And that, we use that a lot. And we have different type of subject lines that we use, interchange and test and measure for open rates. Once you got past the subject line, then you've got the actual body of the content of the email, which is important. Each part of that body has a purpose. Now you've got the first paragraph to really agitate the problem and deliver the value of what you're actually, why they're, what this is, why they're coming on the call, and then you got the call to action. Then you've got the links within the email, which you want them to click to go register for a webinar. It's very important that those links are positioned in the email more than once, and they have a lot of value to them as well. And then we found, I think, Amy, that the PSs are very important too. A lot of people just read those, and to have a few of those on the bottom of your email, again, just reinforcing your what you're delivering or your benefit. And may even want to put your website or tips or anything as another link. So you want to add to that. Again, emails, it's not just throwing content in email. There's a lot of science to getting these things to work.
Yeah, we definitely have a formula for emails as well. This has come from years of following some of the greatest marketers that we have for internet marketing. I do agree with you there, and that's not something that we didn't really bring up, but those emails, again, and social posts even. So you want to make it very clear, concise, consistent, the message all the way across the board, from your emails to your posts to your landing pages. Yeah. So, there's no mistake as to what people are signing up for, what they're opting out of, what they're, going to be moving forward with. And I think that that's, a very important point that you brought up.
That is huge. I'm glad you brought it up. I mean, a lot of mistakes are made where people have a great email or great offer or a great benefit to do something, and then they go off to the landing page or their web page or wherever they're driven to, and it's totally something different, or the look and feel, the graphics, they're all different, and you lose them. They're gone, right? So you got to, like Amy said, you got to make sure from the email to the landing page and even to the thank you page of the registration, you want to make sure that you're congruent with your message. Yeah.
And there's also the post-webinar element of the campaign that we're just going to touch on briefly here. But the post element is made for when someone has completed the webinar. They're going to get a copy of the recording in case there's anything that was missed. But also, it's going to give an opportunity for people who registered but didn't actually attend to participate on that call, should you choose to do so. I mean, you don't have to offer that, but we find that it's a great way for people to still get the information that we're offering and be able to do it on their own time, because not everybody can work around your schedule. So that is such a huge element for us. I know that there's always a question that comes across through the Q&A, will there be a recording of this call? And that's something that you really want to consider when you're doing that.
That is important, but I also, being a marketer for many years, I want to create an urgency as well, because if you leave the replay on there forever, people will take their time or even forget about going to that replay. So we usually in some cases put urgency that we're going to shut the replay down on a certain date, right?
Yeah.
And by doing that, the urgency, you allow it kind of get them on the call on their own time, but within a certain period of time. So that works good.
Yeah. So you definitely can't stress the amount of energy and effort put forth into the campaign of how it's going to play out for the webinar itself.
One last question on the post-webinar. Yeah, the Evergreen webinar. We've been providing Evergreen webinars. So these are webinars that you can use over and over and over again. It doesn't matter. It's the marketing principles. These topics and subjects will be the same for many years, and we've got them in our pre-loaded campaigns when people opt into tips or funnels or news. These webinars actually come on throughout the year, and that would be a good reason for recording and doing a replay and plugging these in to some evergreen webinar products, which is a whole other topic altogether. But in talking to post-webinar, it's a good idea to do.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that that's something that we touch on a little bit later, but that's okay. Definitely something that you want to have. I know, something that you want to keep in your marketing arsenal for sure. All right, well, let's move on to the webinar overview part of it, because again, this is something that we're in the midst of doing with you right now. This is a live case study, and you're doing it with us at this time. Okay, so the very first part that I come up with when I'm thinking of, okay, we've got our topic, we've got our content put together. Now we want to give a visual presentation, because nobody really wants to sit and listen to someone talk forever, no matter how great the topic is. They want to have a visual, and that's the whole point of doing a webinar versus a go-to type meeting. The webinar is the interactive portion. We're having you guys jot down any questions, raising your hands, and then again, that Q&A portion. So that's kind of, the engaging part of it. So the visual presentation, it doesn't have to be anything extravagant, but it has to be something, okay? When we begin the webinar, we always want to go through housekeeping. That's what we call it, when we're making sure that you can hear us okay, making sure that you're able to see our screen, because there are times when, our volume is low, or perhaps, somebody's hit a mute button. You never know. So the housekeeping is definitely an important part. We want to make sure that we've got your attention and that we're able to be seen and heard. Okay, and then we rip through our agenda of what's going to be covered on the call, which again is going to be consistent with what was in the emails, what was on your landing page. It's now into the body of your agenda of your intro. Okay, and then we get into the main content of the webinar itself. If you've got any guests, you would want to go ahead and introduce them at that time. Let them know that they're the expert in whatever field that they're in. Make sure that you introduce them properly, and explain why it is that they've got their, make sure we know why it is that you've got them as a guest on the call. Okay, we want to make sure that we deliver all of the call content. So everything that we had promised in our agenda in the intro, we want to make sure that we get all of that covered, and then we'll do some polling. Now, polling is not for everybody. You can certainly do it at a time that you feel that it's going to be relevant to your topic, but we recommend doing it for keeping the engaged part of the topic. Okay, and then you come to your close. So you'll have a call to action, we'll do a question and answer session, and then you always talk about what's coming up next. Okay, so whether it be a weekly, a monthly, a quarterly thing, entirely up to you, but always let your participants know what's coming up next. Okay, Mike, is there anything you want to add to that? That's basically the overview of a webinar process.
No, you did a great job. It's a good overview.
And if I go too fast, by all means, you guys please just put anything into the chat bar. I go through it quickly enough because this is something that, again, that we've done on so many different occasions. So, excuse me, if something pops up that I've overlooked or you have questions on, please put it in the chat bar.
Well, here's the good news, Amy. The attendees that have shown up, and there's a lot of them on this call, have stayed on, so it must be good information.
Well, that's what we're hoping for. We want to deliver what we're promising. So we talked about a little bit earlier, just the emails themselves. We said that there was more than one email that you have to launch. There's a sequence or formula that we do to those as well. So I've got my subject line, which I've highlighted in yellow up at the top. I'm sorry they're so tiny, but you all have them in your inbox if you ever want to, review how those work. You can see the flow. So we've got a few different areas throughout the email itself, letting you know that you can actually register in different sections. So always give more than one registration link. Okay, and then a PS. Unfortunately, when I was doing my screen captures, the PSs were cut off, the majority of the, the previous ones. My last one, I was able to keep 2. Okay, so we've got a social element to it. So it talks about, the first PS is talking about the call itself, and then it says, you know, that you can forward it on to someone who you feel might benefit from this call as well. So you should always do that with your base to make sure that, you know, word of mouth and referrals is huge in a lot of businesses. So why not just pass along an email invitation invite, have somebody come and join the webinar who could definitely benefit. Okay, and then we also did some blog posts. So you may have came to this webinar today through visiting our blog. Okay, so just another element to make sure that we get you exposed, get you as much exposure to get you onto our call as we could. So we did some social posting. We've got some Facebook posts that we've done. You know, if you've got pages for your business, it's definitely a good place to put your ads in. Now we find, and you may already know this, when you're doing any kind of advertising with Facebook, if you have an image, you're going to definitely have a higher click-through rate as opposed to one without an image. So I wanted to give you examples of all of them, and you can see them here. Possibly you saw them on our Facebook pages or maybe in your social feeds. So they may not be unfamiliar to you at all, but definitely ones with images are ones that we want to consider, you know, to get the highest click-through rate to drive them to your page. Again, at this point, this is still just driving traffic to the landing page. Okay, and the landing page itself, it's got to be something that is consistent with the message. We've got a timer on ours to show you when the actual webinar will begin. We've got all the details recapped under webinar training details. Okay, and one of the important elements where it says save my seat, this is actually something that is what we call above the fold. Okay, so this is important when we're looking at our mobile devices like a tablet or an actual phone. When you are in a mobile-friendly site like this, it's going to truncate and push all of your web page content down. So you know, the smaller screen or viewing device that someone has, you know, the more pushed down the content will be. So if you look at the one that says landing page mobile, which is on our phone preview on the far right, it's going to give you 3 separate links. Okay, and those links are all just to get the person to actually click through and attend the registration for the webinar. Okay, so again, mobile-friendly, consistency, being congruent between messages is definitely one of the elements that you want to make sure that you're putting forth to the public. Okay, and I think the next one that we go into in our campaign, it talks about post. Now, we haven't got that far with you yet, so I don't have my visuals up here for you, but we will be posting a replay of the webinar. Granted, my recording works and everything goes well. I'm feeling confident, though. So we'll make sure that we have that up for your availability. For anyone who registered but wasn't able to attend, we're going to promote a follow-up email with a link to come and actually view the webinar replay. And then we'll be able to remove that and take it down after a time-sensitive period. Okay. I think, Mike, one of the next things that we wanted to talk about was just the option of, you know, if anyone actually has a webinar account or if they've ever hosted one on their own before.
Yeah, this is where the quick poll, and we want to know more about the people that come on this call. We want to know, do you have a webinar account, and have you ever hosted one before? So actually, are you ready for that now, Amy?
I am, yeah.
Okay,
I'm just going ahead and launching our poll to everybody.
Oh, there you go.
And we're going to...
So what do they need to do? They need to select one of these answers, correct?
That is correct. So we've got 3 different options, and you get to actually pick and choose your question when you're creating your webinar, and you also get to put in the answers if you want it to be multiple choice, if it's a yes/no answer, you know, entirely up to you. You get to go ahead and, you know, put your own spin on things.
Why don't you read the question and the possible answers out of it, Amy?
Yeah, so the question itself is, do you have a webinar account, and have you hosted your own webinar before? And with the 3 different options that we have, now forgive me because I can only see a partial bit of it, Mike, so if you can see the whole thing, let's go with that. But I can see, yes, I have an account and I have hosted. I've got another one that says, yes, I have an account, but I've never hosted. So maybe you're new to the program, or you've just had one forever and not actually gone for those 3 reasons that we talked about earlier as to why you may not have used a webinar. And then our final one is, no, I don't have an account. Okay, so
we'll give it a few seconds to answer.
Exactly. So we have the ability to determine how many minutes, seconds, you want to leave that up for. And once we think everyone's gone ahead and put in their votes, which I know there's some of you that haven't voted yet. I can tell, I can see this. This is all one of the things that you'll be able to see on your own as well.
Participation's good, guys. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a great way, again, to engage with your participants.
Okay. Let's get to the second question.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to close off that poll, and I can give you the results. So what we have is we've got 20% of you on our call today that actually have an account, and you have hosted a webinar on your own before. So congratulations, good for you. Good. You guys know exactly what we're talking about. Good. And then we've got 80%, a huge amount actually, 80% saying they do not have an account. Okay, so this may change after the call today, realizing how important they can be to your business, right? So that's the first poll. And then we do have a second one here for you. And our second one that we're going to pop up, we want to know, would you be interested in having AMS help you co-host a webinar? Okay, so this would be something similar to what Mike and I are doing. So Mike is our host of the call, and I'm co-hosting and moderating for him. So if you wanted to be someone who hosts the call to your own particular base, and you want to have a co-host, and you know what, I think, Mike, you and I even discussed this earlier. We were saying that for co-hosting, it could just be moderation. Obviously, we're not the experts in your field. We're great at what we do. So it could be something where we just moderate a call for you versus co-hosting and actually speaking live to people.
Yeah, it's a moderator and helping you through the first webinar, and we'll let you know later in the call all the other stuff that we'll do to help you get your first webinar up and going and working.
Yep.
So what are the answers
exactly.
here?
So we'll give it, I got 4 more seconds here, and then I'll close off our poll. All right, let's go ahead and we'll close it off. Now, not everyone voted again. I can see some of you participated, some of you didn't. We have 13% who would like to consider co-hosting a webinar with AMS. We do have 75% who would really like to know more. Now, that's a huge number as well. So maybe it's something that in our delivery of this webinar, you have some questions and you would like to know more about, what that means for you. So make sure you're typing those in because our Q&A session is coming up. Okay, so if you have questions and you want to find out more on having a webinar hosted with AMS, type in your questions here. Okay. All right, so those are our 2 polls altogether. The next part that we have is we're moving on to how we can help you. Okay, Mike, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, if you can put the opportunity up on the screen there, Amy.
Yeah, you don't see that?
I do not see it, no.
Huh. Let's try that again.
There we go. There's a special opportunity. Okay.
Sorry about that.
So for the people that participated in the poll and would like help setting up their webinar, we have a special opportunity, and it's kind of limited time offering it. We've actually never offered this before. We've done it for us for over 20 years, and it's worked and generated a lot of business. But in this offer today, we will draft 3 clearly drafted promotional emails for your webinar. We'll also include 3 eye-catching promotional social media posts. So we'll do the emails, do the posts. We'll do a done-for-you templated registration page for all your participants to register. We'll offer our voice broadcast service, include 100 calls as an event reminder, or even a reminder to your email, or not even a reminder, but just a message saying that we sent you an email, did you get it? Would have Amy come on to help you co-host the webinar, so actually use our platform, our software, so you don't need to invest yet on the webinar software. We'll include the 2 autoresponder emails as well. And if you choose, we'll also give you the recording of that webinar, either for evergreen purposes or an encore presentation email as well. So that is our offer. So we also, and if you go to the next screen, that is that's a lot to type in for. If you're interested, in this offer, there is a link, but we'll get back to that in a second. So we're also going to offer a bonus. So for the first 10 people on the call, and we got a lot of people on the call, and we got a lot of interest. First 10 people that sign up before 5 today, what we're going to also include is a webinar bonus. So it'll be a 1-hour consultation call with me to help you with the webinar and who to target and how to get the strategy, more of the strategy, the marketing strategy as well. We'll also include the lead generation package. So if we want to help generate traffic to the webinar on top of your database and emails and posts, we have all the tools, lead capture. We got the landing pages, we got the toll-free hotline with unlimited usage, so all the lead capture, both on and offline tools, and the voice broadcasting services, which will offer 1,000 calls as well. That's the service that we deliver messages to the mailbox of your prospects that registered. All that for $497. Okay, just to let you know that the lead generation package has a value of $394, which is a one-time activation of $297. So we'll give it that all first month for free and waive the activation if you sign up at 5 today. So, you know, a lot of value, a lot of opportunity. It's really a done-for-you package to help you get this set up for the people that have not done one before, or even the ones that have that may want to try this out and get advice to I'm sure you have a lot of different content and subjects that you could, the more you niche this, the more money you'll make. You know, I'll take an example in real estate, selling real estate to buyers and sellers, and we're having success ourselves, you know, looking for first-time home buyers, or we have a sell and stay program for getting ready to retire people. There's all these different niche programs that we use webinars to get people on the call. And it actually is an affordable way. If you're thinking of doing a seminar, something outside in a hotel, this is probably a good test to see if your topic works and if it's cost effective, rather than renting a room in a hotel, get people to show up and the stuff and the cost to get people to it is a lot more than $497. So yeah, no, it's that's our opportunity today for people on the webinar. Amy, I think we've got about, we got 10, 15 minutes. Oh, we've got 10 minutes left. Why don't we jump into the Q&A now? Is there any questions that anyone on the call has for us?
Yeah, you bet. So let me just take a quick moment here. I'm gonna hold on. Sorry, bear with me just one moment. Okay, so we want to make sure that Faisal has a very good point. He would like to know, what is a voice broadcast? I think, you know, we elaborated on almost everything except for that one particular product.
Well, you go ahead. You want to answer that, Amy?
Sure. The voice broadcast, it's more of a stay in touch type tool. Basically what you're doing is you're recording your own personal message, 60 seconds or less, and that message is going to be sent to your existing client database. So this is where we were talking about segmenting your database. You send that pre-recorded message at a specific day or time. You choose a target if you want it to go to an answering machine or a live person, and that is how you're reaching one-to-many. So instead of you picking up the phone and calling everybody, with a personal invite, you're going to go ahead and record that short message and send that to everybody else.
So that message, that recording, so it takes you 30 seconds, a minute to record. I recommend 30 seconds, short and sweet. Hi, it's Mike Kowalski. Sorry I missed you. It's almost like you've called, hundreds or thousands of people in your database, took the time to call them, and you just left a message reminding them of a webinar, reminding them of an email you sent. It really is a good retention tool. I only recommend using it not for new prospects, because it's you want to use it for people that you already have a relationship with. It's a lot of other uses for it. We use it to collect money sometimes. It's very effective as well. It is a tool that gets quick response. So once you deliver that message, it takes minutes, seconds to get 100 or 1,000 calls out. And we also give you a report of the status of that campaign, how many calls went out, how many got to machines, how many didn't get through, and it's a good way to update your database. So that's what Voice Broadcast is. So
hopefully that helps answer that. I mean, we definitely have our number on the bottom of the slide or screen that you see there. So if you want more detailed information sent to you via email, you can pop your email in the chat box and we can send that off to you as well. But it's a great tool that is just a part of this event type marketing that we're referring to on this call.
Amy, I don't see that screen. Did we lose it?
For which one? I'm sorry.
Oh, there you go. Okay. You may want to put it to the last screen. Okay, any more questions?
We have Don sent in a question. He says, we're a CPA firm. They're targeting auto repair companies in their area, and it's a relatively small target, and they want to know how it's best to communicate to invite them to a webinar. So I think you're doing more of a B2B type thing, if I'm understanding correctly, Don. Now, these people that you're marketing with, do you already have, or marketing to rather, do you already have their information, like email address or contact phone number, anything like that? Because if you do, obviously that's definitely going to fall into what we've been talking about today. We can email them and we can send them voice broadcast.
Yeah, if you want to generate new traffic, new business, which we highly recommend, because we just talked about your database for now, and that's the low-hanging fruit, but definitely using pay-per-click services in Facebook and Google, and banner ads, all these different online ways, and YouTube, LinkedIn, they're all great sources to generate targeted traffic if the banners are done right, if the message is congruent. It's a good way to target targeted traffic to the webinar as well.
And I think that's kind of the stage where Don is at. So I think we may need to have a one-on-one conversation, Don, outside of the call. So if you just want to put your phone number in there for you, we'll definitely give you a call back.
Another idea, Amy, if you don't have a database or you're just growing your database, I mean, obviously that's the best. Other than attracting traffic on online marketing, you may want to get some JVs or business partners that you get, get their use their database or get them on a call, do a joint call. So you get them to send an email out. So leveraging other people's list is huge. Okay, other people's list.
I agree. Okay. With that being said, we do have another question here. Is there an opportunity for more than a one-time event? I think what they're meaning by that is, if they have more than one topic or idea, are we able to help them promote that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we right now we're promoting a one-time event, and either you could do it yourself or we can help you do it. And what I'd like to see is let's do one, right? Let's do one. Let's get one going. And if I would recommend doing one a month, minimal. Keep engaged with your clients and have a topic some type of topic, training topic. You may want to get your best clients on a call, interview them, how, whatever product, service, or you provide, get them raving about your product and how much money they've made from it. So I've done that a lot in the past, and it's worked very well. In fact, that's probably the best. We get a lot of people showing up for a hot seat call. So getting your best advocates on a call, 2 or 3 of them, and asking them, questions or, what they were doing before, during, or after using your product. That's a huge topic.
Yeah. And
the answer to the question, we will do more than one.
And I think that's a part of, what you discuss on your call as a part of the bonus offer as well, right? Yeah. Different ways and how many webinars you can do, different ideas.
Yeah,
so I think that's a lot of brainstorming that you do with
the consultation call will be about your business and the opportunity. We really won't get into the weeds of the webinar. We already went through that. It really is the opportunity where, in your business and the database and the low-hanging fruit and, so.
Okay. I have a question here from Mark, and it's a great question. Do you think webinars are better than actual seminars? Do you think they're a better way to go?
I believe a live seminar or conference is the best way to go. But there's a cost to it, and it's not as easy. A webinar will definitely help get people to events. You can do free half day or free hourly webinars, educating them about what you're going to speak to them about in a conference or a live event. Having people in front of you physically is probably the best way to convert, in my opinion. But you can warm them up using a webinar. You can find out you can find out if your idea or your product or service is going to fly before you spend all the money launching it. A lot of good online marketers do that. They have an idea they want to see, even before the product is fully developed. They test it through webinars to see if there's a need, want, and a desire, and price point as well.
I think it really does depend on who your target is and what you're promoting. If you're doing a webinar and you're not too sure how a seminar would be received, right? How many bums can you get in seats? Cost efficiency. There's so many different elements that you would want to weigh out from one to the other that it really is, I think, per business.
Here's a good question I'm looking at, Amy. Gary has said, what is your average show up rate of people coming on the actual webinar versus registration? That's a good question.
It is a good question. Yeah.
It all depends. There's always an average. It all depends on the topic. But if you do a good job in following up and keeping in touch before the event of what they're going to learn, what they're, maybe even deliver some content of what you're going to be delivering on the webinar. We're finding 50%, 60%, 50% show up if you do a good job. A lot of it because people don't want to show up is because they're busy, they forget. A lot of them come back and, even weeks after, like, hey, I missed the webinar, or can I get the replay? But that number is hard. We've tried to, we've tweaked things, but 50% would be the number. If you get 50% of the people showing that registered, you've done a fairly good job. The other 50% that don't show up, we're not done yet. We have post-marketing, as Amy mentioned earlier in the call, of what we do we have time-sensitive replays. We have evergreen webinars, which we play over and over and over again, sequence throughout the year. In some cases, some of these webinars actually play in a certain time of the year where they may be more valuable. So, I would say 50%.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. I do have one last question, unless anybody else wants to put anything into the question box here, and it's from Sarah, and she says, who sends emails posts? So she's looking to see for the marketing content that's leading up to push people to your webinar, who's launching those? I can answer that, or Mike, you can, either way.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, so we recommend that you're doing it. It's definitely your database that you're going to be launching to. They're going to be familiar with you as the sender when they're the recipient of your email. So you're going to be doing the email promotion. We can give you the template, of the actual email that goes out itself. And again, that's a formulated email. It's not just one that we, kind of hit off the fly. And for the posting, for your social posts, again, the content is something that we can help you populate, but the actual posting of it will be done through your account. So
what you're saying is
everyone
has an email account. They have an email account. They're going to be sending the email out of their email account, or whatever they use, correct? Or a CRM.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, and we talked about that a bit earlier too, saying, if you don't have the ability to lay out a full campaign with a particular sequence, then, we can go the old school route. We create our own campaign launch schedule, and we just have you push your emails out as one-offs on your dedicated day. Yeah. All right, Mike, do you have...
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, do you have any other questions that you see that maybe I overlooked?
Let me see here. There's been a few. Some of them we've already answered throughout the call. I'm just trying to find one if there's any that we didn't address. I think that's about it, and we're about 5 minutes past our time. You may want to just, for the people that you want, just recap what the opportunity is, Amy, on the last screen. If you can pull that up, please, and while I talk to our next call, our next month's call will be all about leveraging your database and using your database and segmenting your data. It's a whole call about your database and how to make money on your database. So there's the offer recap again. There's the opportunity with the bonus. You've got until 5 today. To get the bonus, and if there's no other questions, Amy, I think that is it. Hopefully everyone on the call, it was worthwhile coming on the call, and you got the valuable content that you came on for. And again, we look forward to working with you and helping you on your first webinar. And if you have any questions about anything on this call, or our numbers at the bottom, 1-800-858-8889. Amy, you want to give out your extension in case they want to talk to you directly?
Yeah, sure. My extension is 122. So same toll-free number, 1-800-858-8889. And I'm just going to put extension 122 in our chat window. And I've also got a link for the webinar in the chat window as well.
So if you guys are interested, just click that link in the chat section on the right, on the far right. So at least we know that you have any interest. We'll get you on a call and talk about the opportunity as well. Feel free to call Amy for any other questions about webinars. All right, Amy, well, thank you very much. Thank you again for doing an unbelievable job co-hosting this webinar with me. We look forward to seeing everyone on the call in December on our Making Money with Your Database. And that's it for today, everyone. Thank you for coming on the call, and happy marketing. Take care, guys.